In this alternate world, AI advanced far enough to create a sentient Unibot, tasked with protecting the world and eventually creating the Banner of the Spark, an organization filled with many different types of heroes. That was until he decided the world was ripe for the taking, and decided to eradicate humanity, which is us, here in prison. Luckily, this robot decided he was going to become my new arm, and we are officially linked. So I think it's a good time to escape. I found a bunch of captured bots on my way out, but we decided only to save Goodbot, who is going to be our ticket out of this place. If we can survive, that is, since we have been found. Unfortunately for them, bots are weak to explosives and fall damage, as well as being thrown violently into each other. Before the next wave, I found the suspiciously placed sword and began slicing and dicing these combots to shred, including the new enemy, a blade bot. The boss finally brought out a logger bot. I dodged his strikes and got a few hits in. When he missed his next attack, I threw him down with the wire, which is very short, and I won the fight. Despite one final threat from my jailer, we escaped and arrived at Buddy's secret village hideout. It's a nice place, don't get me wrong, but it's a bit barren since, like Buddy, everybody else got captured. Except for Nickel, the shopkeep with a interesting name. Luckily her sister, Dime, take a guess at what the family's named after, has already gone to try and find where everybody is. Meanwhile, I explored my new home and then entered the Spark Hold, the place where I'll go to earn new upgrades for Buddy. Before that though, it's time to seek out a weaponsmith and bring him home. Befitting its place as the first mission of the entire game, there was only one area. I grabbed a bunch of scrap and started up the fight. I bombed this poor blade bot and then I dismantled him. After using the dog to kill another blade bot, I slashed the final one to death and freed Smithy from his imprisonment. And then I destroyed the factory and stole its soul sparks for myself. Our first battle is a massive success, and we got a bunch of sparks and bits for our trouble. I returned home and was sent out to clean up a litter, before meeting up with Smithy and creating a forge for him. He was grateful and let me inside where I can now buy new weapons such as this hammer. And with that done, it's time for more allies. After a quick test of my new hammer, Smithy offered me an upgrade, and since I haven't unlocked any companions, I got to work. As you can see, the hammer is slower than the sword, but more powerful, capable of knocking enemies away and setting them up to be wire attacked. A bit later on, I found the same hammer, but this time it was infused with ice, before trading it for one that was dripping with poison instead. I continued throwing and bashing my way through the bots before meeting a new enemy, the rocket bot, which probably isn't its real name, but that's what I'm going to call it. They of course fly around and shoot rockets at me. I was having trouble getting in close, but I flip smashed one and then electrocuted the other. At the final area, I beat up a few sword bots, destroyed a rocket bot, insta-killed a dog, and then cracked yet another sword bot. And with that done, I finished off the level. And as a reward, Smithy offered up some new weapons, but it was time to get some new allies. So, armed with a spear infused with fire, I hopped into battle. The spear is a bit weaker than the hammer, but it has more range and is more than capable of dispatching a few bots. I'll swap for a hacker spear so I can turn bots to my side. Not necessary for such an easy level and with no boss as well. I freed Chip and Mason and placed their workshops in town. Chip allows me to get new wire upgrades, so now it has more range and is a combo starter. He wanted me to go rescue a new resident for the town, but first, I decided to build a bench and some lights for the only 3 people living here. And then I chased and grabbed a little spear bot before heading out to save this new resident. Armed with nothing but a spear, I headed out into the field. This little chainsaw bot is tough to beat when he's spinning, completely negating my spin attack, but he's not stronger than the wire. Floor 2 was filled with the hardest bots we've seen to date, which makes sense considering we've only done like 3 levels. But I moved on, crashing my way past a few blade bots and finding a mimic. He tried to run, but I moved in, missed a few times, and slowly took him out, earning full shield as well as some extra health. I discovered a new bot on the final floor, and then I met Buzzsaw the Serpent, a mini-boss variant of the flying rocket bots. I dodged his attacks and then ran around trying to find him, when I was surprise attacked by him. I wasted a slam attack and finally broke his shield. I do plenty of damage, assisted by my special, but he hits pretty hard as well. And all it took was 2 missteps and I was down. Goodbot got me out of there and we failed the mission. Buddy said some encouraging words that I did not deserve, and I headed right back out. After carving my way through the first floor, I took out a Mimic on the second and got another special. This time we went against the Hackwave Slaughtertron, and I was determined to do better. I started by taking out his minions and then got to the boss's shield. With it destroyed, I dodged his missile barrage and got into the main fight. Smashed him, and then I dodged his attack with a well-timed special. I played conservatively, allowing me to get in some good damage while I avoided taking any, until I got greedy. Now, just one hit from death, I managed to survive the explosion, now definitely putting me one hit from death. So I left the arena looking for health, didn't find much, and stupidly wanted to play around with a hoverboard. But he followed me, so I lost all that extra health, and then my life, yet again. For the next level, I swapped my weapon and decided to attack with just a straight up pistol. I tried it out, and I was not a big fan. The range isn't really all that good, and it's honestly pretty weak. I tried my best to survive the floor, slamming them, throwing their dismembered body parts at each other, spinning around them to no effect. And eventually, I managed to gun down the last of them. And I swapped to a spear instead, since this gun is not for me. Third time's the charm. This time, it's Guillotine the Menacer. There were a lot of minions around, but this time, I decided to take things slow. I was doing alright, and left to get some extra health, before special attacking him nearly to death, and then finally killing him and completing the level. Kifu is now free, and we have our first resident here in town. Unlike the others, he's unemployed, and will give friend chips, which sound oddly similar to friendships, when I talk to him, or give gifts, which I can use to get new wire upgrades from Chip. Speaking of him, I upgraded his shop, and I reset my purchases because I realized you can only have one item from each row. I grabbed what I could, checked out the inside of Buddy's house, and then I tried out fishing. Like every game released post-1781, this game does contain a fishing minigame. As soon as they jump, I use the wire to grab them and reel them in, and I earned my first skill bot. I went ahead and grabbed another before placing a nickel action figure on display. Still in the box, so you know it's worth a lot. After that, I bought a self-revive, so now I can die to a boss without having to reset, and I also got some extra health. And then I ventured off to complete some work for nickel, and you can see a little heart under my name. It's the revive. Before the final area, I found a little safe room with some free armor and health, and then it was back to the fray. I was slaughtering bots left and right, dodging these giant blade traps, and waiting for a mini-boss that simply never came. After turning, Nickel's sister Dime insulted us, which Buddy did not take kindly to, so it's back to the field. After finally changing out of our prison jumpsuit, I took on a green suit and changed Goodbot into an Owlbot. And also, we can use a companion now, so despite being a civilian, Kifu is gonna go into combat with me. Now, is having him here a war crime? I don't know. I've honestly never read the Geneva Convention myself. But regardless, he's here. He can give himself and me a shield, and he leaps at enemies whenever they're near. It's been a while since I've seen a Loggerbot, but he's not that tough. Avoid the slams, pull him down, and then wail on him. While I killed the Bladebot, Kifu kept up the aggro, and down the Logger goes. I kept trying to grab the next one, but large enemies have specific windows, so I just killed him instead. I managed to hack the next one, so he went after his own team, and they killed each other for me. I hacked another 2, before meeting the YouTube subscribe button, which you should press so you see new content when it comes out. I've also got channel memberships now, so don't feel obligated to use those, but feel free to click the join button if you want to support the channel. Thanks. While Kifu drained his shield, I took out everyone else, and then I got to work. I avoided the massive buzzsaws and his slam attack, kept up the damage, and then grappled towards him for the win. A far better fight than last boss, and now Piney and Home 3 are safe, and the area has been liberated. I welcomed Piney to town, and then got sent out to find Dime and bring her home. In the time it took to leave Chip's place, it somehow became winter, with snowballs just sitting around everywhere. But the snow hasn't reached Logwood Pines yet. Probably a good thing, not sure how these Loggerbots would react to that. Much like the little bots, Kifu is a throwable weapon. But how will he do against Severbot the Enforcer, our first Loggerbot boss? I spent the start trying to kill his allies, and then I got knocked down without even breaking his shield. Luckily, Kifu picked me up and we got right back to the fight. I dodged his attacks and used Kifu as a weapon, and I had him close to death. With one final special, I sliced him to pieces. Dime, now that she's back, set up shop in her pub and asked me to take on a contract, which is just an additional level with certain modifiers depending on how difficult it is. Nickel then absolutely roasted her sister. I grabbed a Bitbot, gave that to Piney, as he requested, before starting up that contract that I got before. All enemies will cause sludge damage to me, so I'll need to be careful not to take too many hits. With the logger bot down though, it's on to Dime's shop. She was a bit cold, a bit hostile towards me, as she always is. So I grabbed some shield, which was the worst thing to spend my money on, and I headed on. Took out a few of these elite bots, being careful to avoid any damage from them, and then I met the boss. Bladewind did his best, but I used my superior speed to avoid his hits and dealt a lot of damage, before unceremoniously finishing him off. Dime then offered me the ability to summon her for my next mission. She deals some slam damage, fights for a little bit, and then leaves immediately after. But she left behind a shop for me to buy from. Of course, nothing's free in this economy. I cleared out the shop though, beat the last of the elites, and then I moved on to the mission I was supposed to do. I called in Dime again, watched her take out the minions and leave before doing literally anything to the boss. I ran for my life, but it was all a bait, and down goes the Annihilator. Now it's time for some more residents. I decided I was going to try out the claws this time around, and I kinda like them. They're quick with a nice amount of damage, but the range is of course pretty short. At the secret area, I swapped over to a hoverboard and was offered a recharge for my support that I still haven't used yet. I also found out that Brunswick is schizophrenic, which is kinda sad for him. And then I hopped right into the final fight. I knocked the group of bladers back and then smash attacked everyone, allowing us to mop up the entire group. I defeated the next group and didn't even end up using my dime support during the fight, and that brought us to Chapter 2. I talked to my new residents and then created the kitchen of my new gainfully employed Unibot, Chef Brat. He calls me stroopwafel, which is my favorite Dutch dessert. Back when I lived in Amsterdam, I bought them at the grocery store every week. But enough about that, it's time to get promoted off of customer and learn how to cook. He gave me all I needed to make a grill bot and then some delicious sticks and stones. I went ahead and fed them to Home 3, and then I bought my first permanent upgrade for the sword, which was just a longer lunge attack. Chef bestowed upon me the title of Kitchen Porter and sent me to fight alongside one of my companions. We found this mimic hiding near the end who I certainly wasn't going to just let live, and after showing some of the lower level enemies just how outclassed they really were, it was time for Big Chopper here. The Chopzilla Z9000 was not ready for how good my damage was, and with just a few specials, he was decommissioned permanently, and his death marked our ascent into a Commis chef. And after cooking up a storm of 3 entire dishes, our German benefactor gave us the right to bring 2 companions into battle, which I forgot to do, so we only have Kiefer for this fight. Luckily, same as he did for me, I was able to pick him up, and though barely standing, I managed to kill Shearstorm. Dime finally started showing us a little respect, and I ventured out to save another job bot, Taylor, but she's gonna have to survive just a little bit longer, because that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, feel free to join if you're interested. Let me know what you thought, let me know what you want to see next, but most importantly, make sure to have a great rest of your day. Bye.